We are back for our video series at the Eddyville Sand Prairie. You may be asking yourself why we keep coming back to the Eddyville Sand Prairie. And honestly, it's because it's kind of a rare habitat and it's got some plants in it that we won't see in other places. One of those plants is the one I'm sitting beside, which is called the Hoary Puccoon. This plant prefers dry soil. So the sand prairie has dry, sandy soil. Great place for this plant to grow. One of the reasons that this is a great place to come out and take a walk, we have a paved, or not a paved trail, but we have a lime chip trail, about 1.3 miles. You can walk around and see what's happening around here. This Hoary Puccoon will be blooming probably through about mid to late June, depending on what the weather's like. But you can see it directly from the parking lot because it's a bright yellow flower. It is short. If you compare this to the spiderwort that we talked about last week, this is probably about a foot shorter than that is. It'll get about a foot to a foot and a half high. But those bright yellow flowers are going to attract you. They're going to attract lots of pollinating animals, such as bees, other insects, and things like that that want that sweet nectar. I am told that this is a somewhat poisonous plant. So for us, we probably don't want to eat it, but it's got types of alkaloids in it that make it somewhat poisonous to mammals and other animals that might want to eat it. But they've done some research where they put fences around these plants where the deer and the other animals couldn't get in there, and the numbers of these plants actually went up, meaning some of those animals may be able to tolerate that slightly toxic nature of this plant and they'll eat it anyway. The name Hoary Puccoon comes from hoary, which in the natural world means white hair. So this plant actually has kind of a hairy stem and leaves. So white hair, hoary. Puccoon is a Native American word for any plant that can be used to make a dye. The long taproot of this plant is red, and you can make a red dye from it. I've read that some Native American kids would eat this with their gum, so they'd chew up this root with their gum and it would give it a red color. They would chew up the yellow flowers with their gum to give it a yellow color to it. So hoary meaning white hair, puccoon meaning a dye. And one other really cool thing about this plant is some Native American tribes actually use the seed from this plant as a sacred bead in some of their ceremonies. The seeds are so hard that they could drill a hole through them and make a bead out of it. That means that they're also very difficult to grow. They have not had any luck trying to take the seeds from this plant and get them to germinate inside. And with the long taproot, you also can't just dig it up and move it somewhere. So this probably isn't going to be a plant you're going to have in your front yard prairie or your backyard prairie. But if you come up to Eddyville, take a walk around this time of year. This is one of the neat plants that you'll be able to find here that you won't find in other places. And the fact that we have it here is a sign that we have a very high quality prairie. So not only are you going to find this, but the prickly pear are blooming right now too. We might be back for a video on that some other time. But there's so much happening right now. It's a great time to get outside. So once you're done watching this video, go out and take a walk. See what you can find in your neighborhood. And until next week for our new video, just get outside. Summer's coming.